Hey everyone, so today I'm going to show you why making this drawing was the greatest decision that I ever made. So throughout my life, I've struggled with artist block, and it was really bad for like the past decade, no exaggeration. I could barely get a picture out. Every now and then I could, but it would be so hard, and I did not understand why. When I was really young, I used to fully draw whole bodies, color them, like markers, crayon pencils and stuff. But when I got older, I could barely even sketch past someone's shoulders, and it was always the same angle, the same face shape, the same expression, and I couldn't do it. I didn't know how to sketch anything. My brain would just go blank. However, drawing on the computer gave me more freedom. I realized that one problem was that on paper, you can't move around, layers. If you need to adjust, you'd have to erase and redraw. But on the computer, it just helped me to get around that so that I wouldn't have to completely start over, which was just overwhelming. But the question was still, why is it that I can't sketch anything? Because if you look at my drawings for my art channel, this is the line art, and this is the end result. So it's like, well, where's the sketch though, right? Where's the in-between? One of my friends pointed out to me one time, they were like, it's like you skipped an entire step because I never sketch. And so through those difficulties trying to draw these pictures, I kept asking myself, like, how can I draw something this great, but I have no idea how to draw? Because people would ask me, they'd be like, oh my God, how'd you draw that? It looks so nice. You're such an amazing artist. How'd you do it? And I really wouldn't have an answer. They would be waiting for an answer, and I would just tell them I have no idea what I'm doing. And then they would be like, what do you mean you have no idea what you're doing? I'm like, I really don't know how I'm doing it. Like, I don't know how to draw. And they're just like, but you just drew this really detailed picture. I'm like, I know, I just don't know what I'm doing. And they would think I'm trying to like fish for compliments. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. And they just didn't understand the struggle that I was dealing with. And it's like, I couldn't really follow tutorials. Every single time I tried, it just would not stick. It would get to the point where when I try to follow a tutorial, I'm literally better off pausing the video at the end, like the end result, and just trying to copy it. And I can more efficiently produce what they produce through doing that. So just one little tangent before we go back to these tutorials. When I took that gap for 2 years, I think I drew one picture and only one picture, and I didn't even finish it. And yet somehow when I came back, I drew this, which is like one of my best drawings. So one thing I started to realize during that gap was that even though I was barely drawing, even though the only drawings that I've really done are the ones that you've seen on my art channel, I keep improving, but there's not much practice in between. And I realized it's because I actually draw a lot in my head. And that's when it started to open the can of worms that made me realize why I've had so much artist block over the years. So to draw in my head, what I do is when I look at pictures, I can kind of like deconstruct the process that it took to get there, at least in a way that works for me. So I'm literally like mapping out subconsciously, it's not conscious, but subconsciously I'm mapping out how they drew the cheeks, how they drew the eyes, how they drew the hair, the highlighting, all that stuff. And I'm just going through that in my head. And that's why I'm able to skip to the end of a tutorial and just copy it, because I'm like deconstructing how they drew it and what works for me. I will talk more about deconstruction soon. It's not gonna be a happy video. It's gonna be really sad. But the point is, I did that a lot. So the question was, well, why is it that, again, I can't sketch? If I'm drawing in my head, why can't I sketch in my head? I realized that, I talked about in this video how I save a lot of pictures. I'll open up a bunch of tabs and then one day just save them all and then organize them. And through doing that, when I first started doing it, it was these artists who would preview their Patreon or wherever they make their money from. They would show the stages of their tutorial and say, pay for my service, follow this tutorial, and you'll learn how to draw, right? But I didn't want to pay for it. So I would try to figure out how to draw from the stages. And in all of these stages that I'm showing you right now, there's no sketch stage. It's literally the basic outline, then the basic color, then some detail, a little bit more detail, and it's finished. And that's actually how I draw. So once I realized that, I thought about it more, and I was like, oh my God, I'm compartmentalizing my art. What I realized is, so when you see these pictures, right, there's like 5 compartments here, 6. I'm not looking at a picture right now, so you can count how many stages there are on the screen. each of those stages in my head is like a folder, right? So then let's say in stage 1 is the basic outline. That is a folder that has, you know, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, all that stuff in it, right? And then those are in folders as well, broken down into more steps. So it keeps getting broken down. So basically my head is like, to draw a mouth, you have to do first the outline stage. That's maybe like 5 simple steps. Then you have to do the basic coloring for it. Maybe that's like 5 more simple steps. You have to do the next basic coloring on top of that. That's like 5 more simple steps. I have to keep breaking it down into compartments of simple steps. And so each of those stages have to be summed up in that way. So when I'm drawing a picture, what used to happen was I would get so stuck on the drawing, I would just give up on it for months and months and not even return because I just didn't know what to do. And what I didn't realize was that my brain was stuck on a certain compartment. So now that I'm aware of it, I'm able to control it better. And that's why I'm able to draw more often and draw more effectively. Because what happens is, like with, you know, this picture, for example, whatever I'm showing on the screen, if I'm drawing the mouth, if I just did the basic outline and I put the basic color there, now I got to start shading all the different pieces. You'll see me go to the eyes and then I'll switch over to the nose and shade that a little bit, shade the ears a little bit, shade the chin a little bit. Then I'll go back to the eyes a little bit. What I'm doing is moving to the different compartments. So let's say that it takes 8 big folders to complete one area of the face. So the eye is broken down into 8 folders that each have more folders inside of it of simple steps, right? So if I'm on step 2 of drawing the eyes and then I'm stuck, I can't mentally get to step 3 because my brain is still focusing on drawing in the step 2 stage. So I can't put more detail in. I will then stop drawing the eye and move over to the mouth. And then I'll be on step 1 of the mouth. And if I get stuck after step 1, I'll move over to the nose. And let's say I'm on step 4 of the nose and I get stuck. I'll move back over to the eye and then I'll be on the next step of the eye. And I'll just keep moving around like that until it's done. I have to literally take a break from what I'm doing so I can remove myself from it and be ready to move on to the next step. And that's because I am an intuitive artist. It's through instinct. A lot of these people who give you these tutorials break everything down in this very technical way because they're technical artists or they learned from technical artists. When you go to art school, I never went to art school, and you learn the technical way of drawing. They're like, draw blocks and then draw a skeleton and then draw the meat and then draw the skin. It's like, that is way too much for me because again, you're looking at somebody who is already compartmentalizing the fuck out of the drawing as is. So if I'm already breaking it down into folders and folders and folders in my head of steps, and then on top of it, you want me to draw the blocks and then the skeleton and the meat. It's like, I can't do that. So through all of this, I finally started to have some hope. I told myself I'm not going to give up on my pictures anymore. If it's a picture that I'm really attached to, like some sort of feeling inside that I want to convey, I am going to draw it. Because with my drawings, again, being an intuitive artist, I have no idea what I'm going to draw. I'll have like a sort of idea in my head, but as I'm drawing it, it just transforms and transforms because I care more about the emotion that's being conveyed out of the picture rather than the actual look of the picture itself. I'm trying to convey a feeling or some sort of ideal. And it's funny because a lot of people, when they look at my art, they're like, oh, it's so emotional. It's like, at least that means I'm doing it right. You know, what I'm trying to accomplish. So I told myself, I'm not going to give up on these pictures anymore because if I have a feeling inside that I want to get out, I'm going to get it out, right? And so the next picture I was working on was the one that you're looking at right now. I was like, I'm not giving up on it. But the minute I started sketching it, it was just a failure. I was like, oh, this looks awful. This is not how I want her to look at all. She's my original character. She doesn't look like herself. She's looking crazy as hell. I don't even know where I'm at in the speed painting in this video because again, that's the edit. I edit in the speed painting after I record, but I know wherever it's at right now, she looking scary as hell in the worst way possible. So I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I want to give up on it, but I just kept going and going, and it was just so awful because, you know, a lot of artists use references and I do too. But the thing that I realized is if I can't find a reference that's actually similar to what I'm trying to do, I cannot incorporate it because I will be deconstructing that art. Like, unless I can find a reference for a mouth that's in a similar angle or shape to what I want to do, as well as eyes and all that stuff, I just can't incorporate it properly. So what she looks like right now is basically like snippets of magazine cutouts or some shit, kind of paper mache together or something, just just all these different, it looks like different pictures scrambled together into this horrific mess of a child, and it's just awful. So eventually I was just like, I can't, maybe I was wrong, maybe I should just give up on it. And so I stopped drawing, and then I sat there and I was like, no, I'm not gonna give up on it. You know what, I'm gonna start over. I didn't like the line art from the start. It just wasn't good for me. And again, the line art is simple, but they're guidelines. That's what I had to learn. These are guidelines for me to color within, to give me some general, because again, when you have your mind racing everywhere, like you can't focus on a single thought because you have so many thoughts, me putting these general guidelines allows me to fit the feelings and the ideals that I have about the character into those guidelines so that I don't just lose my mind and the picture just spills all over the, page. It's literally meant to keep my thoughts under control, if that makes sense. So I was like, let me make a better guideline. And so I did, and it looks like this. And I was like, okay, this looks like the kind of guideline I typically use. This doesn't look like her, but I think I can work with this. So I started coloring it. I was like, I'm doing it this time. I'm going to color it. And this time she'll actually be right because I'm not giving up on her. And so I kept drawing it. And you want to know what happened? It looked like a horrific mess. I mean, this looks awful. Like when I finished this, I mean, it's not finished. I was just like, damn, like I was ready to just overcome this. Like I can do this, and it's just a failure. I had worked on this for like hours and hours, like 6 hours just to have this abomination. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do it again. I'm like, I'm going to do this again. I will not give up on this character. I want to draw her. I want to bring her to life. I want to put her in color, not just sketch her out on paper. The funniest part is she's one of the few characters that I can actually sketch on paper because I have a really hard time sketching. And so ironically enough, I could not put her on the paper. So I was like, I'm doing it again. I'm going to erase all this color, keep the guideline because I do like this guideline, but I'm not giving up on you. And I finally, after, my third attempt, I made her look even more horrific than before. I was just like, oh, this is just like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Why can't I make this picture right? And it was just so sad. I really felt like there was just no chance of me accomplishing what I was trying to do. These were the references I was using. If I could find them, I'll show you. It was just so awful. But I told myself, you know what? I'm gonna just keep trying. I'm gonna just try again because I know that if it's not going the way that I want, because I know that this guideline works. I can feel that it's a good guideline. So if I try enough times, it's gotta work, right? So funnily enough, I would have just kept trying until she came out right. Like I wasn't gonna give up. And so I took a little break just to get my mind away from the way that she looked so I could get out of the fixation of whatever the fuck was making her look so awful. And I finally came back to it and I was like, here we go again. I'm not gonna give up on you. I'm gonna keep working this out until you come out right. And finally, after all that time, no joke, she came out like this. This is literally one of the greatest pictures I've ever drawn. Like, I was so proud of it when I finally finished it. I can't believe she turned out like this. She was not supposed to look like this at all. She wasn't even supposed to be in her full demon form. She was supposed to be like maybe just have like, her demon eyes, but her mouth wasn't even supposed to be that wide open. She wasn't supposed to look nothing like that, but this fully embraced like her story. And I was just so happy about it. And it's because when you watch the speed painting, if you actually go to the speed painting, which will be on my art channel when this uploads, so you can literally go on over there and watch. I kept switching. I would start on one part of her face, move to the next one I got stuck, move to the next one I got stuck, and kept moving until she was done. And it just came out so well. The problem is when I got to the end though, around this part, I stopped recording because I would do that. If I only had a few little things I want to add, I would stop recording because editing that in is annoying. I don't want to explain why right now, but it is. So I was like, I'll just finish the rest outside of recording. I regret that because she actually looks completely different in a sense. I used the liquify tool and fixed some things and then just did a bunch of edits. So I really wish I had recorded it, but I made a new commitment to myself, everybody, which is I am going to do my best at the least. I'm gonna try, okay? I'm gonna try my best to record every edit that I make in a drawing. Even if I'm just drawing for 5 minutes, I'm gonna record it so that way you can see the entire process even if I'm making mistakes. And I actually did another picture that I'm not gonna show you in this video, but it'll be a picture coming out after this at some point where I fucked it up. Like I fucked it the fuck up until it was done. Like I could not get her to look the way I wanted her to, and she's one of my favorite characters. And it was just so bad. But yeah, I didn't give up on her, and she came out so amazingly. It's as good as this one. Like, they're my best pictures. So I'm not giving up on my art anymore. When it's something that I really feel passionate about in my head, that feeling, I'm going to do everything I can to get it out. I've been able to draw so much more often now than ever before, and a lot of this was thanks to AI, because when I was trying to figure out the patterns of AI art, I was deconstructing the art in my head. That's what made me so conscious of realizing I deconstruct art in my head. I draw in my head. That's a whole other story. If you want to know about that, again, you can watch this video where I talk about how AI had helped me learn some stuff about drawing. But yeah, so anyway, I was so proud of this, and the point that I'm making is do not give up on your art. If you have a hard time drawing, there is a problem, and with enough self-reflection, you can figure out what it is. Like, what is stopping you from being able to draw? You might be like me. You might be compartmentalizing things, and you just need to take a break from whatever section you're working on and go to another section of the picture. And when I do go to all the sections and I'm still stuck, I'll just stop drawing that picture for a while. I just need to get my head away from it and then come back. So that might work for you too. That might not be your case. It might be something else. But if you self-reflect enough, you'll figure out, if you were somebody who used to be able to draw efficiently and you cannot anymore, you have artist blocks, something has happened and you can fix it. You can find a way back. You just have to find out what's wrong first. So with all that being said, you guys tell me how you feel about this. You guys tell me what you think. If any of you like to draw, if you've had any issues, give me some insight. Maybe I'll do a follow-up. But yeah, I'm so proud of this picture. I'm so happy that I didn't give up on her. Her name is Allison. So anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.